Okay guys, take out a fresh sheet of paper for some brand new notes. Here is your title. You'll forgive me, my voice is kind of weak, and today's notes are going to be longer than the videos from 2 weeks ago. But I'll make up for it because tomorrow's video will be much shorter. So for today, expect maybe like a 15 to 17 minute video, maybe longer. We'll see. So here's your title, the 6 trig functions. Copy that down and then go pencils down. I want to just throw some information at you. So in this section, the only shape we'll see is a right triangle. We have 3 sides. There are special names for each of the 3 sides. Here are the names that are given to us. Some of these you've heard of before. Now, my job is to know which one of these is which one of these. I think we can all agree that the one that's crooked is always going to be the hypotenuse, always. It's across the little box. You see how this is an L? The L is formed by these two, but gosh darn it, which one's which? Which one's the opposite and which one's the adjacent? It all depends on where you stand. If you live here, something happens. If you live there, something else happens. So let's do both of them. Let's pretend that you live right there. So let's pretend that this is you, okay? Now, if you're here, then what you do is you go out. You see that? You shoot out. And if you do that, that's how you identify the opposite. Process of elimination is our friend. That means this is the adjacent. Now, let's go for a walk. Instead of here, let's go and walk over there. So from this new position, who is what? Well, if you're here, shoot out down the middle, and this is going to be your opposite. And of course, process of elimination, that's your adjacent. So I always try to label the hypotenuse first, then the opposite, and then the adjacent. So knowing how to label these is a skill that you seriously need to master. So pencils up, copy down this here. Copy down this exactly as you see it. Take a minute, copy this down. All right, let's give this a go. So let's try this first one here. So this is your hypotenuse. Across from you is the opposite. That means this is your adjacent. How about this one? The crooked one is the hypotenuse. This is where you live. So across from you is your opposite. That's your adjacent. Down here, the crooked one, this is the crooked one. That's your hypotenuse. Okay, it's always across the little box. If this is where you are, across from you is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. One more. This is the hypotenuse. If this is you, then across from you is the opposite, which makes this the adjacent. Now we are interested in knowing what happens when I take one side and divide it by another. What happens if I go hypotenuse divided by opposite? What happens if I go adjacent divided by hypotenuse? Or what if it's this divided by that? Or this divided by this? It turns out there are 6 different cases, and each case has a name. And these are the names. So put this down on your notes as well. Let me erase the marker. These are what we call the 6 trig functions, or the 6 trig ratios. So this is gold. So write this down on your notes for sure. I'll give you a minute. Go for it. Okay, so let's use these facts to do 5 quick problems. 5 quick problems, and then your exit ticket. So, example number 1. This one here. Yep, perfect. So these are the directions for all of today's examples. And here's the picture. And here's just the FYI. So state the exact value of the indicated trig function. So you should be writing this down, okay? Write all this down. Draw that picture, that there. So here's the deal. That's the goal. Finding the cosine of theta. That's our goal. But you know what kind of sucks about this triangle? Is that I don't have the hypotenuse. So let's do middle school math. Let's do Pythagorean theorem real fast to find the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is called C. The little baby legs, those are A and B. And those can be flip-flopped. Those can be flip-flopped. But the hypotenuse is always C. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared, the Pythagorean theorem. 25 plus 144. Okay. 25 and 144 is 169. Square root both sides. Casio, it'll say 13. So the hypotenuse is 13. Okay? Get that out of the way. Now, what was the goal? The goal was to find cosine of theta. What does cosine of theta equal? Look at your cheat sheet. Cosine of theta is here. What does it equal? It equals a fraction, okay? It equals adjacent on top, hypotenuse in the bottom. But gosh darn it, I forgot to label my sides. Let's label the sides. So we know that the hypotenuse is this one here. We know that theta is where you live, and across your house is your opposite. This is your adjacent. So now, go back to the goal. The goal was cosine theta, which equals adjacent, 12, divided by hypotenuse, which is 13. So, guess what the answer is, folks? 12/13. Done. That's it. Next question. Let's try this one now. Okay? There it is. Let me erase the board. Put this one down. Let's see here. Let's see. So the goal is cotangent. We have a right triangle, but gosh darn it, we're missing a side. So we have to use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing piece. You can call this B if you want. Okay, so let's do some scratch work. 20 squared plus B squared equals 22 squared. 400. 22 squared is 484. Subtract 400 from both sides. Go minus 400 both sides. Square root both sides. And then type that into your Casio calculator because it simplifies it for you. It will say 2 square root 21. So that goes in for here. Okay. Now, what was the goal? The goal is this. The goal was cotangent of theta. What does cotangent equal? Look at your little cheat sheet. Cotangent is a fraction where the adjacent is on top of the opposite. But gosh darn it, I forgot to label them. This is hypotenuse. Theta is where you live. And across from where you live is the opposite. And this is the adjacent. So what was cotangent again? Cotangent was adjacent over opposite. So 20 over 2 square root 21. Now what you should do is you should type in this into your Casio. And if you do that, it will say something like this. Watch. Type it in. It should say 10 square root 21 over 21. Okay? That's what it should say. Okay. All right, so next one. Okay, something like that. So copy this down. Give you some time. All right, so let's find the missing piece with Pythagorean theorem. So we have this squared plus this squared equals this squared. So we have 4 square root 7 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. Cassio would say 112 plus 9. That's 121. Square root both sides, c is 11. So the hypotenuse is 11. Now what's the goal? The goal is cosecant theta. Cosecant theta equals, well, maybe I can label the sides before I forget. Hypotenuse. Theta is where you live. Across from your house is the opposite. Adjacent. Now, let's finish this. Cosecant is here. Cosecant is hypotenuse divided by opposite. And again, type this into your Casio, and it will say 11 square root 7 over 28. Final answer. 2 more, and we're done. Let's try this one. Right here. Let's try this one. If you notice, for this problem, there's no picture. So you have to draw your own picture. So draw a right triangle however you want. It doesn't matter how it's positioned. The math will adjust itself accordingly. So draw it however you want. Okay? And your theta, it can go here or it can go there. Again, it doesn't matter where you put it. The math will figure it all out by itself. So suppose you put theta there. Okay? Now, that's the goal. That's the goal. And this is a given piece of information. Now, they've given us for free that secant of theta is 5 over 4. But secant of theta is hypotenuse over adjacent. That means that this is your hypotenuse and this is your adjacent. So maybe we can label this first. We know that this is the hypotenuse. And across from you is opposite. This is your adjacent. Now, what was given to us? This piece here. Secant of theta was given to us. Secant of theta is hypotenuse over adjacent. So the hypotenuse is 5. The adjacent is 4. Let's find the missing piece with Pythagorean theorem. Call this b, whatever. So let's do some quick scratch work. B squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. So b squared plus 16 is 25. Subtract 16 to get 9. Square root. B is 3. So now that you have a complete picture, finish this problem. The goal was tangent of theta. So let's go for the final answer. Tangent of theta equals, what's tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite is 3 and adjacent is 4. Done. Okay. Get out the way. One more. Last one for today. It looks like this. Last one for today. One more, guys. One more. Stay with me. Last one. Last one for today. Okay. Let's see. So we have, what do we have? We have no picture. That's what we have. We have no picture. A missing picture. There it is. Back. Picture theta there. This is the hypotenuse. This is your opposite. Adjacent. This is the goal. And this is what's given to us for free. It's given to us for free. Cotangent is given for free, but cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So this is your adjacent, and this is your opposite. So let's update this picture. So my adjacent is 3. My opposite is 2. Let's take a time out to find the hypotenuse C. So 2 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. 4 plus 9, 13. Square root, so that's a weird number. Just leave it like that. So the hypotenuse is square root 13. Now the goal, let's finish this, folks, before I cut you loose. The goal was to find sine of theta. So sine of theta equals, what sine? Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. My opposite is 2. My hypotenuse is this. Type that into your Casio, and this is what it will say. We're done for today. Box is in, 100%. Now, go to your exit ticket, number 5. Try it. The answers are at the bottom. But don't turn it in today. You're going to turn it in on Friday. And then tomorrow, more notes, shorter notes, along with exit ticket 6 for tomorrow. But for today, exit ticket 5, go, go, go.